Have you ever wondered what makes a marriage relationship work? Well, there are lots of advice out there and ideas, but they don't actually work. And this is what I will focus in this video. There have been many books written and issues presented as causes for problem in marriage. However, they are not necessarily true, and the extensive research done by Gottman Institute has proven this fact. In this video, I will go briefly over the 8 myths regarding why a marriage relationship fails. First one is communication. If you can improve your communication, this really would fix it, really will solve it. And the best advice out there for conflict resolution is if you can learn how to communicate without blame. You know that formula, I statement plus defining the problem plus defining what you need. For example, instead of saying, you don't value our time together, what kind of person does that? You go with, I feel neglected when you work too much and don't take the time for us. I need this connection of time together. A way of communicating without blaming and criticizing, but rather validating. But it doesn't work all the time. This advice has its roots in the Rogerian therapy involving active listening. But a wife and a husband is not a therapist listening to a patient complain about a third party. The person their husband is trashing behind all those I statements is her and the other way around. In John Gottman's view, active listening asks couples to perform Olympic-level emotional gymnastics, even if their relationship can barely walk. Again, these skills are enormously helpful in conflict resolution, but they are not enough. Besides, the findings are that even happily married couples can have screaming matches, but arguments don't necessarily harm a relationship. Another myth about why relationships don't work is that neuroses or personality problems ruin marriages. Research has found only the weakest connection between run-of-the-mill neuroses and failing at love. We are talking here about normal anxieties that we all go through. The reason is we all have issues like this at times. And another researcher, Tom Bradbury of UCLA, called these triggers enduring vulnerabilities. They don't necessarily interfere with marriage if you learn to recognize and avoid activating them in each other. But even farther, instead of running away from, turning towards them. Because what is a trigger? It's an indicator of a wound, or an emotional wound that needs your attention. So these enduring vulnerabilities can be repaired. Once you get that solved, the trigger is cleared, so it's not so painful anymore. Next one, common interests keep you together. So find more things to do together. Having common interests and even goals is really important. And doing things together is also very important. But it all depends on how you interact while pursuing those interests. A common hobby enriches and deepens fondness and interest for each other. But if a couple's time together is punctuated with, that's not the way you do it, you idiot, then having these common interests is hardly benefiting the marriage. Another common myth is you scratch my back and I scratch yours. But needing to keep score of who has done what for whom is really a sign of trouble in marriage. Among happy spouses, one doesn't help the other as a payback for the other folding their clothes, but out of an overall positive feeling about the partner and relationship. And in my experience, that is rather dry and transactional instead of being driven by love and fondness for the person. Another one is avoiding conflict will ruin your marriage. Have you heard that? I recall hearing that not having conflicts, it's not healthy. But it turns out there are plenty of lifelong relationships out there that happily survive even though they sidestep confrontation. When they get annoyed with each other, they just part to do other things, and then are able to reunite and continue as if nothing has happened. This might be explained by the fact that different people have different styles of conflict. So while some argue, others are able to talk out their differences, while others prefer to avoid it at all costs. but also different styles of relating based on healthy and not so healthy attachment. Next one is affairs are the root cause of divorce. The truth is, in most cases, it's the other way around. Usually it's not about sex, but about seeking friendship, support, understanding, respect, caring, attention, concern, and just this connection. In one of the most reliable surveys ever done on divorce by Lynn Gigi and Joan Kelly from the Divorce Mediation Project in Corte Madera, California, 80% of divorced men and women said their marriage broke up because they gradually grew apart and lost a sense of closeness, or because they did not feel loved and appreciated. Another myth is that men are not biologically built for marriage. Flowing out of the notion that affairs cause divorce, this theory holds that men are philanderers by nature and therefore not suited for monogamy. I think by now this view is a bit outdated because it turns out this is not so much about gender as about opportunity. Research by Annette Lawson, a British sociologist at the University of California, concluded that since women have entered the workplace in massive numbers, the number of extramarital affairs of young women now slightly exceeds those of men. And this is one category. And then we have the Tinder culture, and these things open up the field of opportunity even more. Next one is that men and women are from different planets. There is that view that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. I think there was even a book written about it. Personally, I could never relate to that because for the most part, I would find myself somewhere in between. And as it turns out, there are various proportions of Venus in each man and various proportions of Mars in each woman. The anima and animus in Jung's language, or the feminine and masculine aspect of each one of us. So while there are general different tendencies between genders, it's not such a clear-cut position. So what are the issues that cause a marriage to break down? You can see my previous video on the death knell of a relationship. But what makes a marriage work then? Best advice out there when it comes to solid, happy marriages is summed up in the 7 principles that were identified in the course of John Gottman's research, and I will go over that in the next video. To cover them shortly: enhance your love maps, nurture fondness and admiration, turn towards each other instead of away, let your partner influence you, solve your solvable problems, overcome gridlock, and create shared meaning. This will create that deep friendship that is the foundation of a great marriage, it turns out. Well, I hope you found this interesting and useful. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please comment below what your views are, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take good care.